Welcome into our overtime segment here at SportsSource.tv. We're going to talk a little basketball, a little bit more basketball for you. We got Josh Ward, we got Mark Pankratz, we got Houston Fancher, we got Chuck Cavaleris there, and bringing it to you right there, Jinx Logos, 755-7767. You need caps, you need jackets, you need coffee mugs, you need keychains, you need any kind of giveaway item with your company logo on it. You're not going to find better prices. You're not going to find better selection of inventory anywhere. There are a lot of these companies that do this. I've never dealt with anyone that is quick, as superb as Jimmy Andrews, Diana Steiner. Tremendous work. Jinx Logos. All right. Guys, Tennessee opens up their basketball season on Friday against VCU. It's a neutral site game. VCU ranked. Everybody knows Shaka Smart. He's got a great reputation. Tennessee has a little bit of a cloud hanging over it. First game, really, with new coach, new style, a lot of new players. What should fans expect in this opener against Virginia Commonwealth?
Well, the biggest issue is going to be the point guard, and I know it's talked about because of VCU style, Tennessee, how they're going to be able to break that press, because VCU is going to want to speed them up, and if Tennessee cannot control tempo and get easy baskets, it could be a long night for them.
I think the key is not letting VCU get easy baskets. You know, they're a team that relies on layups and dunks to fuel their offense. They'll be playing with that Briante Weber, who's on the Cousy list preseason for one of the top point guards in the nation, but they have got to make sure that they control the tempo, like Mark said, with their zone, with their pressure, just to slow them down a little bit, to create possessions on the half court that are going to be challenging for VCU. They can't allow them to get easy baskets.
Let me ask you something. It's early, and I know predictions don't matter, and head coaches don't like them, and staff members don't like them, but we're in the media, so I'm going to ask them. Is this a team, from a fan's preparation point, that could conceivably compete for an NIT bid, or are you just looking at probably 10 wins? Are you looking to get double digits? Is it just hit 10 wins, or is it possible for this team to get to 500 and maybe get in the NIT?
To me, I think they've got potential to do some things, maybe NIT, maybe get into a CBI, to a postseason tournament, but they're going to have a lot of breaks. They really are. They're going to have some offensive development. They're going to have guys play outside of themselves. This team, as they learn their system, I think will play with more confidence. I think you'll find them playing with more fluidity on the offensive end. But once again, it's all going to come back to how they defend.
And I think one of the tough things is when do you start shorting that bench too? I mean, when do you start deciding who's the 6, 7, 8 that
right.
we're going to be able to trust to go on the road when the games really start counting more? I mean, it is a work in progress.
Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time to figure that out. And I want to point this out. There's nothing negative in what was just said there. I think there are a lot of people who feel they have to say, oh, this team can make the NCAA tournament, because that's positive. I would rather be realistic, Yeah. So those people who say, oh, NCAA tournament, I think that's setting a bar that's not fair. If Tennessee made a tournament this year, I think that'd be one hell of a year. I don't see that one in the cards. So if they do it, Donnie Tyndall deserves a lot of credit, I think, for getting a roster that's been cobbled together to play well enough to get into a tournament at all. I think they would deserve a lot of credit for that. Josh, I'm going to go back to you. Let's talk overall right now. You've had coaches and turnover in NCAA investigations in football. You've had coaches and turnover in NCAA probation in basketball. You've got a new coach, and before the first game, all of a sudden there's word that there are NCAA allegations regarding him at a previous stop. Is Tennessee in any way, just as soon as you think, it's a little like the movie The Perfect Storm, and I know that comment's been used around here. There's a scene in that where they think, the sun, they're in the eye of the hurricane, the sun breaks, and they think, we're getting out of here. And then the storm comes back and he says, she's not letting us out, boys. You kind of feel that way as somebody that covers Tennessee at this point. Is Tennessee any closer to getting out of this turbulence than they were 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Well, it does help that the football program has some positives, right? Because it starts there, and the common factor the last 5, 6, 7 years has been that football has had problems.
Yep.
So when there's an issue with the football program, the other issues become larger. But didn't all Tennessee fans say we couldn't even go 1 week? We couldn't enjoy the South Carolina win without something else happening. But whenever something negative comes up, I think the common reaction is, well, I guess we were due for something. So I understand when fans have that reaction. I understand why.
No, they got to be frustrated. Let me ask you something, Chuck, because our basketball guys won't want to hear this, but I think it's true. I think you can be bad in basketball if Tennessee's good in football. If you are bad in football and bad in basketball, I think there's a lot more anger directed at the basketball team. A lot more people who just, the people who flip in and don't really follow in depth. They're gonna say, "Why are we losing again? Who is this coach?" But if your football team goes on a roll here at the end of the year and you're going toward a bowl, I think people are in a better mood overall, and basketball may get a little bit more of a pass. Am I wrong on that?
No, I think you're true, because I think it's human nature that in football, as fans, there's a lot of fans that are getting up for the games too, that are going into it thinking, oh, we can beat Alabama this year, or we can beat so-and-so, and then it turns out that doesn't work out. And then it's kind of the depressing nature hits. So yeah, if you get on a little bit of a roll, and this is such a brand new basketball team, 8 new players. I mean, how many other teams and programs go through something like what Tennessee has been through and come out with a very good product? It's going to take some time.
Well, and Coach can speak for it because he's been a head coach, but there's a lot of people in that profession that look for jobs that have really good football programs, because they understand that if there are some down times and football programs really good, they're not going to catch all that heat. So there's the other side of it as well.
Probably works in reverse for Tennessee's matchup this week against Kentucky, where up there, if basketball's doing well, football can stink. Okay, we don't really care.
You don't see any people in Kentucky blue in the fall. You see a lot of them in the winter or spring after their basketball team does really well.
That's right. Houston, your thoughts on what we've been talking about? You agree with this or disagree that football can mask some ills in basketball if it's doing well?
I think you can coexist. The time I spent at Appalachian State, we won 3 national championships in football back to back to back. At the same time, we won 25 games in a basketball season one year nobody even knew. So that's the great that's the reality of it. And once again here at Tennessee, and I grew up here, I understand the tradition and what comes first in the pecking order here, and certainly football is that. I think you can correlate it to what one season with Bruce Pearl. If he got mad at Scotty Hobson, he would yell at Skylar McBee. So if we get mad at a football program, we can take it out on our basketball program. So I think once again that's a strong correlation there.
All right, Houston, glad to have you as a member of our team. Josh, good to have you on. Mark, good to have you back. Chuck, we'll see you next week for the Sports Source, Sundays 11 a.m. WATE 6. We'll see you then. Thanks a lot.